Hello friends, this is a laid-back video talking about my tadpoles. I want to mention that I'm extremely hot right now, so if I look extremely hot, in the warm kind of way, yes I am, I'm very hot. It's about 89 degrees, it's like one of the first hot days of the summer, and I got my computer on and everything, so it's a toasty day for sure. Hopefully that won't affect this video too much. So let's show you guys my setup right here. Actually, first of all, I wanted to mention that this tadpole's actually eating right now. It's perfect. I'll talk about what they eat and how to get their tank set up and everything in just a few seconds. The first thing I wanted to mention though, the fact that a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll take tap water and they'll throw it in the tank and then they'll drop the tadpoles in and then they will die. Why does this happen? It's because there's chlorine and fluoride and other chemicals that are mixed in with the water, and they are not good for tadpoles. So the kind of water that you want to use, you can use distilled water and all that stuff, but the best thing to do, honestly, is to grab pond water and use that first. Just drop in some pond water, and then slowly over time just add more and more tap water. But you shouldn't add too much, so if you want to just add, a gallon a day and eventually get to where you need to, that's totally fine. It won't overwhelm them or anything. Or, on the other hand, what you can do is just leave a bucket of water outside, or just leave a bucket of water somewhere, and then slowly over time the fluoride and the chlorine will dissipate into the air. It's actually a gas, and it'll float away into the air and it'll get out of the water. So that's the first main thing for water. You want to make sure you don't want to kill them right away. It's extremely unhealthy for the tadpoles to get chlorine in their water. Next thing, what the heck do they eat? So like I said, this one's eating already. It's kind of cute. He's a little cute little animal. By the way, I have 3 tadpoles right now. They're 3 leopard tadpoles, and they're very cute, and I like them a lot, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with them, and I'll probably make a video about once a week or so talking about them, or just talking about the metamorphosis that they're going through. So what do they eat? Well, first of all, they eat algae. That's the main thing. All tadpoles will eat algae, but it's very hard to get a lot of algae in the tank to feed them all. So what you can do is you can buy this guy right here. This is a Merismo ball. It is basically an algae ball. You can actually see the tadpole back there. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know if you guys can see it, but he's actually like nomming on it just at least a little bit right now. But they eat, yeah, that is a ball of algae. I've never seen very much stuff online about if this is a good thing for them or maybe not the greatest thing, because it'll take away algae from all around the tank because it uses up the same nutrients, and this is like the biggest ball of algae. So yeah, I'm not really sure exactly if it's the best thing ever, but they seem to like it. They eat it a little bit. They don't eat it as much as the lettuce. The lettuce is the main thing. What you got to do is take some romaine lettuce and or spinach and boil it for about 10 minutes, and then the easiest way to do it is after you boil it, you can put it in an ice cube tray, and then you'll get, 12, 24, whatever, if you want to split it up even more than that, chunks of lettuce, and then you can just put that in the freezer. And then every single time you want to get a little piece of lettuce, you can easily just take it and throw it in the tank. Now, as far as how often do you feed the tadpoles, I've seen so much conflicting data about this, but from what I've noticed is these tadpoles love to eat. That's their main point. They're like a caterpillar, man. They gotta eat a lot of food so they can get enough nutrients, so eventually they can turn into frogs. So I feed mine daily. I make sure that if I put food in there that they're going to eat it, and if not, it's going to go in the filter right there, which it does. It easily goes in the filter. I actually clean my filter about once every week or so, and I keep a nice clean tank while still feeding them as much as they want. If you don't have a filter, you got to make sure you clean out the tank a little bit more often. Swirl up the stuff and catch it with a net, or use a gravel filter, or whatever you want to. Just make sure your tank is reasonably clean. You don't want to keep a bunch of random dead lettuce and food and stuff in there. It's just not good for them. So we talked about the water, we talked about eating. What kind of habitat do they need? Make sure you have enough space for them. I got a 20 gallon tank. It's a nice size, and if you have smaller tadpoles, obviously you can use a 20 gallon tank and get 20 tadpoles in there. It's pretty darn easy. But for 20 gallons, I was thinking, you know what, I could probably fit about 5 in here. But once they get to frogs, it's going to be a little bit too small for them, so I'd rather just make them stay in the same tank the entire time. And just keep the 3 tadpoles in the 20 gallon tank, which is totally reasonable. Again, it's kind of up to you exactly how many can fit in there, but you shouldn't overdo it. Don't try and keep 20 tadpoles. You don't need that many. Just keep a few of them and make them happy and make them nice and healthy. But you should keep at least 3 to 5. They actually do like being around other tadpoles. They're not vicious or anything. They will kill each other. You got to keep at least 3 to 5. That'll make them happy, and the more the merrier. The other thing is I don't really like keeping them in very, very small tanks. Some people say, yeah, they'll grow up in the very small tanks, but I just don't feel like they're happy in there. I don't know. no real data on that. It just doesn't seem like they would be happy at a little tiny 1-gallon tank, even though they'll survive in there. Some of them will survive, and they're just not good. If you're wondering, why the heck do I have my water all the way up to the top? Don't they want to escape as frogs? No, not quite. You can notice that the tadpoles actually do not have any back legs even forming. They do not have any front legs even forming. So no, they do not want to leave. There's no reason for them to try and get out of the water just yet. Their lungs have not even started to form. Will they actually breathe through this can? I don't even know if they have lungs, to be honest. But no, they don't need to. They're totally fine, completely submerged in the water. But I will have to adjust the tank accordingly and probably get a bigger rock or something once they get closer to being frogs. Okay, as far as my tank setup goes, I also have this freshwater plant, which I really wanted to get something called, I believe it's Elodea. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but it's called Elodea or something. And that's like a really nice freshwater plant, and I've heard that the tadpoles will actually eat it a little bit. They've actually been eating this one a little bit, but I just don't like the look of it. You know, I got a freshwater plant just to kind of help out the ecosystem in there, but overall, I'm not exactly happy with that plant. I've got light, obviously. I use one of these, fluorescent lights. It works pretty well in lighting up the tank, and I think it helps create a little bit of algae, but if you really needed algae in your tank, if you didn't want to feed them every single day, maybe put your tank a little bit closer to the sun, or somehow, make an algae tank and feed them algae every once in a while. That's totally fine. So here we go. This one's actually freaking out a little bit. I'll tell you guys his name in a little bit. You'll like it, I think. So anyways, as far as hiding spots go and all that good stuff, yeah, you want to keep them happy with some hiding spots. They don't always love to be out in the middle of nowhere, so you got to keep them some spots where they can get away from the light. I got all my rocks over here all set up. I got this nice cave, which actually one time I looked in there and I was like, no, what happened to the tadpoles? They're all gone. All 3 of them were cuddling in the cave. It was so cute, guys. It was just so cute. So that's pretty much what I got. Make sure you got enough stuff, and make sure you're not going to crush them accidentally. If you use some sort of rocks and whatnot, make sure you're not going to crush them. I set up my tank purposefully so if they bumped into it or something, they would not knock over the rocks on top of them. It just won't happen. I got this rock set up against this guy so they can't knock that one down. This rock over here is keeping it from moving. This thing keeps everything else from moving because it's actually reasonably heavy. So yeah, that's pretty much my setup of my tank. I also have a filter, by the way. Not a necessity, but you do need to change the water more often and maybe clean it a little bit more often if you don't have a filter. And if you do end up using a filter and you have the lettuce, which again, they don't usually eat all of it because it's kind of floating around and everything, make sure that you clean your filter quite often. Again, I use mine about once a week, and that also means that you should try and get a filter that you can easily clean with your hands instead of having to buy new filters every single time, the new filter cartridges. You don't want to have to do that. Also, one other thing about the lettuce really quick, I totally forgot to mention this, try and cut it up a little bit. They like it cut up. If you have it in too gigantic of pieces, they just won't be able to nom it quite as easily as they would like to. And that's pretty much it for the setup of my video. If you guys have any questions or anything about them, one last thing. I totally forgot. The names. So I'm not totally set in the names so far. I don't know exactly what I want to call them. But right now, the highest ones are Derp. This one's Derp. There's Derper. There's Derp, Derper, and Chris. Or Chris Jr. Either way, really. I don't really know exactly. But I like, this one's called Derp because he just loves that corner. He's always in that corner. You guys will always see him in that corner, almost always, like 80% of the time. This one is, he actually likes the other corner, kind of the far right corner up there. And then Chris, surprisingly, actually loves the plant. That one over there, he will sit on the plant, believe it or not. Literally, I don't know if he wants to get close to the light or whatnot, but he will just chill on that plant right there. So anyways, that is my tank setup. If you have any questions about it, let me know in the comments down there. And if you have any suggestions to my tank, of course, let me know. I would love to hear those. Thanks for watching, and have a super duper delicious day.